The Nativity story shows us that mystery is shrouded in the ordinary. To see God in a manger opens our eyes to see Him everywhere. The Nativity is the place where heaven and earth overlap, where God and man become one, uniting us with Him forever. In the Nativity, we see the depth of God's involvement with us. He moves beyond compassion to full participation. For the next 6 days, we're going to look at how the Nativity takes us deeper into the mystery of God's great story. And today, I want to give attention to Mary. The angel said, "Blessed are you among women." The Christmas story begins with a striking contrast. The angel Gabriel comes to Zechariah to announce the coming birth of John the Baptist. John will be the last of the Old Testament line of prophets. And it's announced in the temple to a prominent priest. And yet, ironically, Zechariah does not believe. He can't see beyond the natural barriers. And then Gabriel comes to a young single woman named Mary. Tradition says she was probably about 15. He comes to an obscure town where there's no mention of Nazareth anywhere in the Old Testament. And yet, unlike Zechariah, Mary believes. From the beginning, the sign of the new covenant is hiddenness and lowliness. Gabriel greets her with, "Hail, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed be thou among women." Hail is translated best as rejoice. So many modern translations say this: "Rejoice, highly favored one. The Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women." From the beginning, this is good news. This is a theology of joy. Now, Christmas is a season to honor Mary as uniquely blessed among women. This was true from the earliest days of the church. Those of us raised in a Protestant tradition, many of us thought that Catholics worship Mary. This is not true. They honor Mary. Mary fully received Gabriel's words that she will be uniquely blessed. And shortly after this, she prophetically declares, "Henceforth all generations shall call me blessed." We are joining in her statement of faith whenever we honor, not worship, Mary. The angel said, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. And behold, you will conceive in your womb and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Jesus." This announcement is so key, so pivotal on many levels. First of all, it's often considered the true beginning of the New Testament gospel story. Secondly, the gospel begins with rejoice. Joy continues throughout the Christmas narrative. Remember, the angel said to the shepherds, "I bring you good news of great joy." Thirdly, this announcement, like the Nativity itself, is clothed in mystery. One of the church fathers wrote this: "Wonder. God is come among humanity. He who cannot be contained is contained in a womb. The timeless enters time," a mystery. I think perhaps most significant of all is this: Gabriel is announcing the beginning of a new creation. Just as the Holy Spirit hovered over the first creation in Genesis 1, now he hovers over this new creation. Now, throughout the liturgical church around the world, Mary is given the name Theotokos. It's a name of great honor because it means God-bearer. Jesus is fully human for one reason: because he was born of Mary. Now, the angel said, "Call his name Jesus." If we look back to the beginning, the early days of the Old Testament narrative, the revelation of God's name began at a burning bush when he said to Moses, "Tell them my name is I am." But now it comes to completion in the name Jesus. The angel says this: "The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the highest will overshadow you. Therefore also that the Holy One who is born will be called the Son of God." Then Mary said, "Behold the maidservant of the Lord. Let it be to me according to your word." This is the critical moment in the history of the world. See, God created the world with free will. It was an expression of his perfect love. He gave all of creation a choice. When the first couple, Adam and Eve, failed, death and darkness entered the world. And God desires to physically enter the world in order to rescue it, but he looks for a free will yes. So I believe at this moment heaven was holding its breath, and she said this, "Let it be to me according to your word." This is the greatest, the highest choice of free will ever made. Mary became the mother of God through her willing choice. Saint Irenaeus, one of the church fathers, wrote this, "How shall man pass into God unless God has first passed into man? How was mankind to escape death unless he were born again through faith by that new birth from the Virgin?" Mary knew that her obedience, her trust would come at a great cost. It would make her the object of gossip and ridicule and doubt. But Mary's heart, her vision was focused on the goodness and faithfulness of God, regardless of appearances. From the earliest days, the church fathers saw a powerful connection between Mary and Eve. Justin Martyr wrote this, "Eve, who was a virgin, having conceived the word of the serpent, brought forth disobedience and death. But the Virgin Mary conceived faith and joy." Irenaeus wrote this, "The knot of Eve's disobedience was loosed by the obedience of Mary. For what the Virgin Eve had bound fast through unbelief, this did the Virgin Mary set free through faith." So at this encounter between Mary and the angel Gabriel, the New Testament gospel begins. It's more than a narrative. It's more than about the faith of a teenage girl. With Mary's yes, eternity enters time and changes it forever. The fragile but unstoppable new creation has begun. Mary's yes is the pivot point for all of history, not just ours, but the cosmos itself. In one sense, Mary's story belongs to all of us. When we hear Christ saying to us, "Do not be afraid," in the midst of our uncertainty and fear, times of feeling weak, we can join Mary in responding to Christ's unwavering love. At the end of the gospel, at the cross, Jesus tells John, "Behold your mother." Is this statement only for John or for all of us? To learn, to receive love, to draw from Mary's great faith.